Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri.
Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I am just most delighted to have our guest on today. Elen Sentier is the French way of saying it. I want to brush up on my French here. So delighted. She is a best-selling author of a British native shamanism, and she's also a transpersonal psychotherapist who helps clients become their own true selves, rewild their hearts, and find what makes their hearts sing. I mean, right? Like we're so in alignment on so many different ways. So welcome, Elen, to the show.
It's absolutely great to be here, Teri. And yeah, let's make our hearts sing.
She is coming from Britain, from the UK. So super excited to have you from across the world. I love technology in this aspect because I love connecting with people around the world on this little, two-dimensional device.
So it's really good, isn't it?
I know. So tell me just a little bit about you. I mean, I'm meeting you for the first time, and from what I can tell, I did a quick Google search on you as well. And wow, what a phenomenal woman you have been and continue to contribute to your community and into the world. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thanks very much for that, Teri. I hope I do, because contributing to the world and hopefully helping people feel better in it, that is really what I'm about. I've got a weird background. People may not realize it, but the old magic has been around all over the world and still is going. And there are a lot of us who practice it, but we don't need to have pointy hats and broomsticks. You can have them if you want, But, you don't have to. It's a bit of a nuisance when you're going down the supermarket, really.
Right?
Have you ever had your broomstick clamped?
I know, right? Used to be back to like the Harry Potter, like going down to like the little doggone alley,
Well, we're not actually in the least bit like Harry Potter. We're people who've practiced the old ways of magic, which the easiest way is shamanism. And it's a way of life. It's not a belief system or anything. It's a way of doing everything. And I was brought up in that, which is wonderful. And I'm also a transpersonal psychotherapist, like Teri said. And those two things, the magic, the shamanism, and the transpersonal psychotherapy, they're like this. They really go together. So that's what I do. I don't tell people necessarily I'm a psychotherapist all the time because people get frightened. Oh, she's going to get in my head.
Yeah. Well, and my background is my background as well is therapy. So so I get you. Like I've had that response as well, like where everyone's like, oh my gosh, are you psychoanalyst? I'm like, no, we're not going down that path. Right. Yeah. But I love the word I love that you bring up the word magic, because I love that word. And what I have researched and found is like, it's an old Parisian word, and it means to be able to have power, like yes. To be able to have your own personal power. Yes. And I think that's all about what we are doing, is reclaiming our personal power, because, that comes away from our purpose, our passions, our potency, because I think that's what drives that potency and allows us to have that impact in the world, right? And whatever impact that is for each of us. But it's really, demystifying it, if you will, And it's
Yes.
really just it's so funny that this word is coming up for today, because I have an old client who just reached out to me, and he's like, I thought of you today, and I just want you to know that my word, literally today, this morning, he's like, my word this year is magical. And I'm like, of course,
Great.
right?
Yeah.
I love it.
No, I quite agree. And it is about power, and it's about standing in your power. And people find that really difficult to do, don't they, Terry, nowadays? We have to be normal. We have to be like other people. We have to fit in. And we
Mhm.
probably don't. And I did a meme a little while back, which sort of said, did you know there are 8 billion different varieties of normal on planet Earth at the moment? Because each of
But
us is normal.
let's unpack that for a moment, because I think that, as I think there's like this development, right, where we go through, where we have to fit in, because if we stand out, then there's, you're weird, what's wrong with you, right? There's this conditioning that happens. And I think it's conditioning through
It
a
is.
lot of systems,
Yeah.
societal, schooling, like
Yeah.
all of this, that we have to fit in this little like cookie cutter. And then when we come to our senses, we come to, and we start to play with that idea, it does require us to step out, and it's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we question ourselves, because it's like, so let's unpack that, like from your experience, what you've seen, take us through that process of unpacking that
Well,
element.
I noticed in your LinkedIn and that is imposter syndrome, which is people are talking about it now, which is really good. So you go out there and you feel powerful in a certain way. You feel you can do various things, and they're really important, and you have your passion, and then you think, but I'm just little me. I can't. Other people are much bigger than me, and people often, as I'm sure you've had and I've had, so, oh, Ellen, don't be so stupid. You can't do that. That's ridiculous. And you have to learn to walk through that. I call it learning not to live by other people's scripts. Don't
Yeah,
live by what somebody tells you. Live by what your heart tells you and
yeah,
what your instincts tell you.
yeah. I agree. And it takes a lot of courage to do so,
Oh, it
and
does.
that's that personal journey, that personal work that we get to. It is kind of fighting those demons along the way, because we are hopping in there and telling us we can't. I often will joke with people that when I hear a no, like I literally, for those that are you're listening, I kind of take my fingers and kind of like, ha ha ha, like I'm like, okay, watch me, because no to me is just fuel.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, that was a dead end there. There's
Mhm.
100 billion other opportunities and other pieces and possibilities. I just got to find the other one.
Yeah.
I got to find my yes. And
Yeah.
so, yes, there was one time that I got turned down on this opportunity, and it took me a year. And it wasn't like I was actively searching it out. I was like, okay, I know there's a better way. I know that there's another way. And I just kept putting it out there, if you will, energetically.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then almost not quite a year later, this opportunity came up, and I was like, oh, not only was it through this, platform, but it
Mhm.
was $0, because the other one was going to be like 2 grand. And I was like, there's just got to be another way, and it showed up. I mean, you got to be open to receiving it,
Do.
because
Yeah.
it's not necessarily instantaneous. It can be, but it doesn't mean that it has to be. But just knowing and trusting that it's going to show up in a different way, in a
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. Like, I found when I was growing up, my parents were what you would call witches, and there were other people in the village who were witches, and so there were a few other children who went into that. Of course, there were all the people and children who didn't as well. So you were there, sort of juggling your way, yeah, precisely,
Mhm.
just like that, between them. But one thing that I was told was, be yourself, and there are people there supporting you, and you need to be the soul that you are, because that's your soul is the real true authentic you. And I spend a lot of time helping people to do that you have to sort of come at it, as I'm sure you know, several different ways. You can't come at it the same
Yeah.
way with everybody.
Yeah.
You've got to come gently, otherwise they're sort of like, "Ah," you know, and you know, that's sort of no good. But one thing I've found telling them actually helps them once it takes a couple of days, but you sort of say your soul is your true self, and actually your sole purpose is your USP, your unique selling point,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
it is. That's who you sell. I mean, people come to you because you're Teri. People come
Mm-hmm.
to me because I'm Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who we are. And there are people who don't want either of us. But the
Mm-hmm.
people who do, as long as we show up as Ellen or Teri,
Yeah.
we're there. Oh my God, look, there's a lighthouse over there. Look, I can go there. It's safe.
Yeah. I agree with you. I love how you're putting in that context, because I've always known that, but I've never put it in that context before and linked them. So thank you for linking them together. But that is a unique selling point, right? Like everyone's like, what is it? What is it? And I've always like I'm always telling people it's my energy. It's my energy. It's like, I don't know. And it was funny because I own another company, and just yesterday I was and I hadn't been in there because I was out of town for the last week, and I was in there for the first time, and the front desk person, one of the employees came up to the front desk and she goes, the energy is different in here today. What is it? It feels really good. And she goes, well, Teri's here today. And she goes, oh. And it was just weird. And she relayed that to me just yesterday, because I was just like,
Yeah.
she goes, but because I don't necessarily feel it, right, for me, but it's interesting to hear it from other people that pick up on it. So it's the Ellen energy, it's the Marsha energy, it's the, the Peggy energy, like whatever it is, it's your essence. But I love that you connected that for me, as far as like, that is your unique selling point, is you, right?
Yeah.
We're just
Well,
making it so much easier for everyone right now. This is like such gold, because when everyone asks you, what's your unique selling point, you say, it's me. Period. Don't have to go thinking about, oh, it's the way I analyze these detailed reports and
But it is, I mean, those are only just little aspects and traits,
Yeah.
Like whether, I'm wearing a black jumper today, you're wearing a white shirt. And it's sort of like that. It's no more than that. But the energy that is Ellen. And I know what you mean about you don't realize, you don't feel the energy. I think, and this is sort of years of teaching it as well, is that you're so used to your energy, you only feel when there's a difference. Whereas I know if I come into a room and I'm feel good, I try not to do it if I'm feeling bad, because
Right.
you don't want to do that.
I agree.
But if I come in, then people say, oh, hi, you're here. Hello, and I know that my energy can lift it. And
Yeah.
I think there's another thing in there to me, which is something that I do with my clients and do with teams and do when I'm teaching, is you've got to allow that. We talk about confidence and we talk about all that sort of thing, but confidence is also like, I'm okay being me.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually okay. And I know not everybody's going to like me, and that's fine. I don't actually like everybody else necessarily either.
Right. Let's just be totally transparent.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's not
No,
wrong.
right.
It's just
I
how
agree.
it is. It's life,
Right.
isn't it?
Yep, it
So
is.
I'm confident to be me, and like you are. And I think that's what people like. And one way you teach in the old magic, which I remember from being a kid at home, is you teach what they call osmosis. Do you know what I mean? It sort of rubs off on you
Yep.
with somebody. And I think we do that. And we don't told much about it, but somebody comes even on a on on Zoom or something like this, or if you're doing a webinar, and you rub off on them.
Yeah. I call that process like planting seeds, right? You're just
Yeah.
planting a little seed, and it's a delicate little like process, right? It's just like, boop, and like yesterday I was talking to this lady, and I was like, you really need to speak. Like you got to speak. Like there's too much juiciness that you're holding on and hiding away from. Like you got to speak. And she's like, and it was just so funny because I said, I don't want to, if it's not your thing, that's fine, but I'm just gonna plant a seed, right? And you could see the gears turning, and then I walked away.
Yes.
I was just like, I'm just gonna let her brew on that for a moment, right? And I think that's what we can do at this point in our, just given the outlook on our world right now, it's a little, wackadoo right now. And
Yeah.
so we can have some more seed planting through osmosis, through, but here's the thing, is like, when we show up as our pure positive energy, as our authentic, I love the word that you call it, rewilding yourself, like your wild
Yeah.
being, right? Your sassy self, right?
Yeah.
We allow other people to give permission unconsciously. And that's the osmosis that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
rub off factor that is really juicy.
Yeah. And it is, because it's like, oh, she can, maybe I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. And sometimes if I'm with a client or in a group or something, and you see it happen, don't you, with somebody? And I just want to cry sometimes, because it's so lovely to watch that transformation from one person to another sort of person, who they really
I love
are.
that. So speaking of that, what, when you're guiding people and you have just a wealth of expertise, I mean, you've been doing this, teaching this for over 30 years. You've been, you grew up in an environment where possibilities were endless. So let me ask you this, like, listeners that are tuning in today, and they, whether it doesn't matter where they're at in their personal journey. I don't believe that there's ever it's just when you're hearing it for the first time, or for the 18th time, or the 200th time, like, what is something that you have found to be helpful in your journey to support other people in their personal growth?
For me, and watching people over the years, the most important thing for them is to be present. It's more than mindfulness. And the way we teach it is a bit different, but it's about really being present, like you and I are really present with each other here. And a way to practice it is in your lunch hour, on your way to work or something. If you've got a chance to walk and you've got a tree or something, listen to the sounds of the tree. Just stop. You're going to manage it for 30 seconds. You can stand there and listen to the sounds of the tree. Listen to the sounds of the birds. If there are birds in there, probably are. Just listen, feel the wind on your face. And just in that moment, maybe shut your eyes, maybe not. In that moment, while you're focusing on just listening to what is around you, and your head will stop galloping around. Well, it may still be galloping around, but it won't be worrying you. And you'll just be, okay. And it's like, for me, and it is a lot of people, you're going along and everything's like this, and it goes like that.
It allows it to be more expansive.
And so you can relate to what's out there, and what's out there can relate to you, because you haven't got this barrier of all your thoughts in the way. So
and for those that are tuning in on the podcast, she's just covering her eyes, right? She's becoming small, shutting down, limiting her ability to see. And then once we are able to go into the present moment, clearly I was needing to hear this message today. That's probably why everything's so divinely timed, right? And I know that this is for a lot of us, this is like basic knowledge, but at the same time, how often are we doing this? I know for myself, I've been guilty of this. And so, when we allow ourselves just to take that moment to just take in life, take in that present moment, it does allow us to be expansive. It allows us to, reset, if you will, our energy.
That's a good word. Yeah. It really does reset, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it doesn't take much, right? It doesn't take much. I mean, I think this is a perfect reminder of, I always joke that I love people watching or bird watching or whatever watching, like I just love to get into the place where I'm like, like just stepping out. And it is that place of that mindfulness of just getting out of our own monkey mind. It's getting out of all of the worry, all the doubt, all the commotion that's happening, or that has been, our brains have been infiltrated on with all these other thoughts that's kind of clogging the system, and just taking the notice. So I want everyone, if you're driving, just be cautious here. You're driving, just focus on the car in front of you. Look at the trees, right? Look at the movement, right? Yeah, let's take us through a little moment right now. Just right now, just take us through a little exercise.
Okay, wherever you are, stop doing anything with your hands. Don't look at your computer screen. Don't look at anything else. Just sit there. Now take a deep breath in, long breath in, and a long breath out. And one more time, in and out. And a third time, in and out. Now just let your ears listen. Listen to what is around you. Just for half a moment. And now, when you're ready, breathe in again, that long, gentle breath in. And the long, gentle breath out. And just breathe. And as you breathe out this time, open your eyes. How do you feel?
Fantastic. And I think, again, like, I don't even want to disrupt this. I think you could be hired for my voiceover. I just love your voice. So again, that took maybe 30 seconds. And it just was like a refresh, right? A refueling station, if you will, within our own body, within our own capacity, within our own reality, and allowing ourselves to bring ourselves back up. Now, I started standing doing podcasts a while back when I was interviewing someone. She's like, you can stand. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing this. And as I was standing there, like, I was just like, I was fighting myself, like, woo, like, like getting relaxed. I was like a little noodle, like spinning around. So I just love that. And I think this is such a great reminder for all of us, is that we can take that time and just be present, and we can practice this. And we have so many opportunities. I talk about, segment intending, our days are broken up into segments. This podcast is a segment, and, your next thing, I'm driving after this to another, a place, that's a segment, and that meeting's a segment, and lunch is a segment, right? So we're already broken up into segments naturally. So the neat thing is that we can pick either at the beginning of a segment or at the end of a segment to do this, right? And just tap it in. Even if we start small and do it once a day, and build that routine and build that muscle into practicing
That's it. Yes. Yeah. I'll tell you a good one that's doing it, because you're drinking a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I drink a cup of tea. We all drink cups of whatever it is we like. Mm-hmm. Kettle takes a few minutes to boil, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There you are. While you're just waiting for the kettle to boil.
Yep.
And you can hear all the different sounds of the kettle. And you'll find you'll get into the rhythm, and you'll know just after you've done it a few times, you'll know just before the kettle's going to be ready, and you'll come out naturally and easily. Mm-hmm. So
I love it.
It's kettle time.
I know, it's kettle time. I love it. There's so many. I joke that I have this like tapping exercise that clears and gets you out of self-sabotage. And it takes about, I don't know, maybe about a minute to do the whole cycle. And so when I'm standing at a stoplight, I'm like,
Yes.
we apparently, according to research, the average American spends about 5 years at the stoplight in their lifetime. And I'm like, that's 5 years of juicy yumminess that we can start incorporating. So it could be mindfulness, it could be tapping, it could be, just paying attention, like just using that opportunity. So that where's like the dead, I don't know, I don't want to call it dead time, but like the time that it's, standing in the grocery line, like,
exactly. Yeah.
like just in the grocery line, you can just be observant of what's happening. What's the 5 senses, what are you seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching,
Yep. I'm totally with that. I mean, all of what I do runs around the 5 senses. And you're not just using this either. You're using your instincts, because your guts tell you things. And when you don't listen to your gut, 10 to 1, you end up, it's bad. Listen to your heart.
It's bad.
Well, I was going to say rude words then, but I thought I wouldn't.
Thank you for keeping us clean. But you're right. You're like not in alignment anymore, right? Like you're no longer in alignment. Yeah.
And, we're told, oh, stop being emotional. No, your emotions are there to tell you things. Listen.
Yeah.
And if you get an intuition that I really should be doing this, or I really shouldn't be doing this, or whatever, or you really want to, get a dream, you see it, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Don't take any notice of other people.
Yeah.
Follow that dream.
I love it. Okay. Well, I could talk to you all day. This has been most delightful. Where can people connect with you or reach out and follow, stalk, whatever they need to do for you?
Whatever they need to do. Look. If you type Elen Sentier into Google, all sorts will come up. Probably the first thing that will come up is probably my website.
Okay.
My links are all on there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. And when I can get my act together, I'm on Instagram. But those are the only 3 SMs that I do.
Wonderful.
But I'm very happy to talk to people anytime. There's a link that you can call me, book a call, and we can do a Zoom call or whatever you want to do. So I love it. People.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, your brilliance, your magic. And we will stay in touch, I know. And, until next time, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, too. I've really enjoyed it, Teri.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.